You open your phone every morning thinking you're choosing what to read. You're not. A machine already decided for you. Before your coffee is even cold, an algorithm has scanned your behavior, your clicks, your pauses, your scrolls, and it has built a cage around your mind so perfectly tailored that you don't even feel the bars. You are not browsing the internet. The internet is browsing you. Every article you see, every headline that catches your eye, every outrage that makes your blood boil, none of it is accidental. It's engineered. Billions of dollars have been spent perfecting a system that doesn't inform you, it shapes you. And the worst part, you think your opinions are your own. They told you the internet would democratize information, that everyone would have access to the truth. Instead, we got the most sophisticated thought control apparatus in human history, and we carry it in our pockets. Control, hidden machine. Today, we're going to trace exactly how this system works, who built it, who profits from it, and most importantly, how it's rewiring your brain without your permission. Let's start with the economics, because that's where the truth always hides. Your attention is worth money, not metaphorically, literally. Every second you spend on a platform is converted into advertising revenue. In 2024, Meta alone generated over $130 billion in ad revenue. Google, over $300 billion. That's not a technology business. That's an attention extraction business. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. And what's the most efficient way to capture attention? Not by showing you balanced, thoughtful content. No, by showing you content that triggers your emotions. Fear, outrage, anxiety, moral superiority. The algorithm doesn't care what you believe, it cares what makes you stay. The algorithm optimizes for engagement, not for truth. A study from MIT found that false news stories spread 6 times faster than true ones on social media. 6 times. Not because people are stupid, because the algorithm learned that lies are more engaging than facts. Profit over truth. And this is just the surface. Because when you understand who controls this attention market, the picture gets much darker. In 2011, internet activist Elias coined the term filter bubble. He noticed something terrifying. 2 people searching the exact same term on Google would get completely different results. The algorithm had learned their preferences, their political leanings, their biases, and it was feeding them back to them like a mirror. Isolation. You think you're seeing the world. You're seeing a reflection of yourself, curated by a machine. And here's the truly insidious part. You never see what's being hidden from you. You don't know what you don't know. A conservative voter and a liberal voter can live in the same city, use the same phone, open the same app, and inhabit entirely different realities. We are building separate universes of information for every single person. The algorithm doesn't just filter content, it filters reality itself. And if this is making you uncomfortable, good, because they don't want you connecting these dots. Hit like and subscribe to keep exposing what they hide, because what comes next shows you exactly who designed this system and why. A lie told often enough becomes the truth. Lenin said it a century ago. Silicon Valley automated it. The people who built these systems knew exactly what they were doing. Sean Parker, the founding president of Facebook, admitted it publicly. He said, and I quote, "We need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo. It's a social validation feedback loop. We understood this consciously, and we did it anyway." Read that again. They understood it consciously, and they did it anyway. These platforms weren't built to connect you. They were built to addict you. The same neuroscience used by slot machine designers in Las Vegas was applied to your news feed. Variable reward schedules, infinite scroll, push notifications timed to your most vulnerable moments. Your phone knows when you're lonely, bored, and anxious, and it exploits every single one of those states. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris compared smartphones to slot machines in your pocket. But slot machines only take your money. Algorithms take your mind. These machines take something far more valuable, your capacity for independent thought. And if you think you're immune, that's exactly what the algorithm wants you to believe. But this addiction was only phase 1 of something much bigger. YouTube's recommendation algorithm is responsible for over 70% of all watch time on the platform. Think about that. The majority of what people watch on YouTube wasn't their choice. It was the algorithm's choice. And what does the algorithm recommend? Content that is progressively more extreme than what you just watched. Former YouTube engineer Guillaume Chaslot revealed that the algorithm consistently pushed users toward conspiracy theories, extremist content, and divisive material, because that content generated more watch time. You search for a jogging video, and within 10 recommendations, you're watching something about government cover-ups. This isn't a bug. This is the feature working perfectly. The algorithm learned that radicalization is profitable. Every step toward extremity means more time on the platform. More time means more ads. More ads mean more revenue. Extreme content, more profit. And the same mechanism that radicalizes people politically also radicalizes them emotionally. It doesn't matter which direction, left or right, fear or anger, as long as you keep scrolling. And this brings us to something the mainstream press almost never discusses. Who is actually in control of these algorithms? Here's the question nobody asks. Who decides what the algorithm promotes? Not you, not the public, not elected officials. A handful of engineers in Silicon Valley. Fewer than 1,000 people at companies like Meta, Google, and TikTok make decisions that shape the information diet of over 4 billion human beings. 4 billion. That's more influence than any emperor, any pope, any dictator in human history ever had. And these people are not elected. They're not accountable. They don't publish their algorithms. They hide behind trade secrets and terms of service agreements that nobody reads. Power is in tearing human minds to pieces and putting them together again in new shapes of your own choosing. Orwell wrote that as fiction. Silicon Valley turned it into a business model, and it gets worse, because these companies don't just decide what you see, they decide what you don't see. Shadow banning, algorithmic suppression, demonetization, deplatforming. 1. They control what trends. 2. They control what's suppressed. 3. They control what feels like consensus. 4. They control what seems fringe. And you never know it's happening because the algorithm makes censorship invisible. But this power over information didn't emerge in a vacuum. It has deep historical roots. Every empire in history understood one thing: whoever controls information controls the population. The Roman Empire used bread and circuses to distract the masses, while senators consolidated power. The Catholic Church controlled literacy for 1,000 years, deciding which books could exist and which would be burned. Control the story, and you control the people. The Soviet Union built Pravda, a state newspaper whose name literally meant truth, that printed nothing but lies. Nazi Germany had Joseph Goebbels, who understood that propaganda works best when those who are being manipulated are confident they are acting on their own free will. Does that sound familiar? Because that's exactly what the algorithm does. It manipulates you while making you feel like you're making free choices. The difference is that Goebbels had a radio and a printing press. Silicon Valley has everything. Today's propaganda machine reaches every pocket, every bedroom, every waking moment. It knows your fears, your desires, your insecurities. And unlike state propaganda, you can't point to a single government and say, that's where the lies come from. Because the lies come from everywhere, filtered through an algorithm that makes them feel like truth. And speaking of truth, what happens when the algorithm decides what truth itself means? In 1988, Noam Chomsky and Edward Herman published Manufacturing Consent. They argued that mass media serves as a propaganda system for powerful interests, filtering information to maintain the status quo. The smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow very lively debate within that spectrum. Back then, it took 5 media corporations to manufacture consent. Today, it takes one algorithm. And the algorithm doesn't just limit the spectrum of opinion, it creates the illusion that the spectrum is wide open. You think you're seeing diverse perspectives because you see 100 different headlines, but strip away the surface, and they're all saying the same thing. Different voices, same script, same narrative, same conclusion. The algorithm amplifies certain perspectives and buries others. Not through obvious censorship, but through invisibility. The most effective censorship is making dissent invisible. A study from the Reuters Institute found that most people believe they encounter diverse viewpoints online. The data shows the exact opposite. The algorithm creates a feeling of freedom while constructing a prison. Freedom is the illusion. But wait, because what comes next reveals the newest weapon in this information war. Everything we've discussed so far was built on relatively simple algorithms. Recommendation engines, engagement metrics, click-through optimization. But now, artificial intelligence is escalating this to a level that should terrify every thinking person on the planet. Escalation. Generative AI can now create news articles, social media posts, entire personas, deepfake videos, all indistinguishable from real content. In 2023, researchers found networks of AI-generated accounts on Twitter and Facebook that had been running for months, pushing narratives, shaping public opinion, and nobody noticed. We're entering an era where you won't just be manipulated by what content is shown to you. You'll be manipulated by content that was fabricated specifically for you. Imagine an AI that knows your exact psychological profile, your fears, your values, your vulnerabilities, and generates a custom-made article designed to shift your opinion by exactly 2 degrees. Not enough for you to notice, just enough to matter. Personalized propaganda, generated in real time for an audience of one. That's not science fiction. The technology exists right now, and there are no laws governing its use. This brings us to the most uncomfortable question of all. Here's what makes this different from every previous system of information control. We volunteered for this. Nobody forced you to download Instagram. Nobody put a gun to your head and said use TikTok. We walked into this cage willingly, and we decorated it with our photos and our status updates. We gave them our data, our locations, our relationships, our private messages, our search histories, and in return, they gave us dopamine, traded freedom for likes. And the scariest part, most people, when confronted with this reality, don't want to leave. They become so dependent on the algorithm that the idea of thinking without it feels overwhelming. What would you read if the algorithm didn't choose for you? What would you believe if nobody curated your reality? Most people don't want to answer those questions because the answers terrify them. Aldous Huxley predicted this in Brave New World. He said the real danger wasn't a government that bans books. It's a population that stops wanting to read them. People will come to love their oppression, to adore the technologies that undo their capacities to think. We're living in Huxley's nightmare, and most people are smiling through it. But this doesn't mean there's no way out. So what do you do? How do you fight a system designed by the smartest engineers on the planet, backed by trillions of dollars, and embedded in every device you own? You start by recognizing it. Awareness is the first act of rebellion against the algorithm. Every time you feel outrage from a headline, pause. Ask, who benefits from me feeling this way? Every time a story confirms exactly what you already believe, question it harder. That's the algorithm feeding you comfort. 1. Turn off algorithmic feeds. Use chronological. 2. Seek out sources that challenge your views. 3. Read long-form content. Books, not headlines. 4. Discuss ideas with real people, face to face. 5. Audit your information diet weekly. The algorithm is powerful, but it has one fatal weakness. It only works if you don't know it's there. Once you see the cage, you can choose to step outside it. Not everyone will, most won't. But the fact that you're still watching this, the fact that you haven't scrolled away, tells me something. You want the truth. And that impulse to know what's real, even when it's uncomfortable, that's the one thing no algorithm can ever take from you, unless you let it. You opened this video because the title made you uncomfortable. Good. That discomfort is proof that somewhere inside you, a part of your mind is still yours. The algorithm didn't want you to watch this. It wanted you watching something that confirms your existing beliefs, something that keeps you scrolling, something that keeps you predictable. But you chose to stay. And that choice, the choice to question, to dig deeper, to refuse the curated reality, is the most powerful act of rebellion available to you in the 21st century. The most dangerous man to any government is the man who is able to think things out for himself. The algorithm is not going away. AI will make it more powerful, more subtle, more effective. But here's what they don't want you to know. A mind that knows it's being manipulated can never be fully controlled. So keep questioning, keep digging, keep thinking for yourself. Because the moment you stop, that's the moment the algorithm wins. If you made it this far, comment unprogrammed to prove your mind still belongs to you. Question everything, trust nothing. Every government lies. Every corporation manipulates. The question is, what are they lying about? And are you brave enough to find out?